It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip CAFMA as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip CAFMA. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we are talking winter heating safety, and my guest in studio today is Central Arizona Fire Captain Eric Merrill. Eric, welcome on to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm blessed.
Great to have you, man. We're going to be talking a little bit about winter heating safety, what to look for when it comes to your chimney, your furnace, your wood stove, do's and don'ts, all the ins and outs of all that. As we both know, it is starting to get a little cooler here in northern Arizona, so it is time to start thinking about that stuff. So let's start with chimneys. What are some warning signs to look for, when it's time to get that chimney looked at and to get it inspected and cleaned?
Yeah, that's great. Great questions. Great way to start us off. Again, thank you for having me. So chimney fires, those always seem to pick up about October, middle to end of October, and they go definitely through the holiday season. So a couple things. One is with your chimneys, you would like to have them inspected at least once a year. The biggest issue with chimneys is that there's this creosote that soaks into the walls of the chimneys. It's really just kind of like this black tarry resin. And actually what happens is if you don't get it cleaned out, once you start your first chimney fire, then you start to see this really thick black turbulent smoke that is exhausted from the top of the chimney. And that's not supposed to happen. And the other thing about that is then it starts to build up in the chimney and then starts pushing some carbon monoxide back into your house. So you got two issues. One, you got a fire, and two, you got carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide will affect us humans faster in terms of physiologically, but now you got a fire in your chimney that can extend into your attic, burn the rest of your house down. That makes for bad holiday season. So we do ask probably once a year, have a company come in. You can just Google, chimney cleaning companies, and they can come in. It's probably an average of like $150 to $250 to have them come in. Depends on your chimney.
It's obviously worth it, of course.
Oh gosh, yeah. Compared to being homeless on the holidays, I'd rather take that small investment. So. That's kind of the big key with chimneys is have them inspected and cleaned once a year. And then as far as warning signs, if you do have a chimney fire, so typically with chimneys, the whole point is that you're trying to heat your house, so you want more fire than you do smoke. And then you want your dampers open, you want that smoke to exhaust through the top of your chimney. So when you're just burning just actual wood, untreated wood, it's gonna off-gas just like a very light color smoke. So you'll see typically smoke coming from a chimney. Especially this time of year in the mornings and evenings, you'll see that across the landscape there. But it'll typically be that light smoke, and it'll be more of a laminar, just a nice easy smoke. So the thicker, the darker it is, means you've got, it's consuming a lot of oxygen. It's very, it almost seems violent looking. Mm-hmm. That means there's something else burning there besides the wood. Yeah.
Very important to not clean it yourself, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, unless you're, I guess well-versed in how to do that, but again, I would let a company that's insured and they're professionals, let them go and do that.
Yeah, chimney's a lot more narrow than you usually anticipate. You always hear about Santa Claus going down the chimney, but if you really look down, you look up the neck of chimney, it's very, very narrow. Yep. And definitely not somewhere I'd like to get stuck. But what about a furnace? Same thing, a lot of people utilize furnace. I have a furnace in my place. Yeah. What about that? Is similar kind of thing, just at the start of the winter, just get it looked at again?
Yeah, exactly. Just have some sort of a company come in, and that's their business. Have them come in, just inspect everything. Before it starts getting too cold, before you need it. Because the other issue too is, not that this is fire safety, but just as a human, you don't want to wait till November, have them check it, you have something off, and then now you're without heat for a week or two.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be absolutely terrible. Especially in your neck of the woods up in the Prescott area, it gets very, very cold.
Yes.
More dewy Humboldt, of course, but definitely a lot more colder in the wintertime around there. Smoke alarms, obviously very important as well. The warning sign for a smoke alarm is obviously the chirping, where you need to switch out the batteries, but anything else that you should look for with your smoke alarm? How often should you check it? How often should you test it? And do you guys provide any kind of service with smoke alarms?
Oh, absolutely. So smoke alarms, smoke alarms, detectors, those things probably change the batteries about once or twice a year. Depends on the batteries. They make a lot savvier batteries now that probably last year. I wouldn't chance it though. because I tell you what, those things always start chirping about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's going to ruin your night's sleep, the kids, the dogs, the neighborhood dogs, everybody. So it's better just to have them checked during the day, once or twice a year, maybe swap them out. The other thing too is not just smoke detectors, but carbon monoxide detectors.
Right.
Again, just talking with the chimneys and whatnot, but especially when you're going to be running more gas and propane and things like that, there's that possibility that carbon monoxide leak. It's a silent killer. You can't smell it, so it's so important to have those carbon monoxide detectors installed. So yeah, definitely check those. If you need to replace them, you can go up to Home Depot, anywhere. They're really pretty cost effective, but at the same time, fire department, we're more than happy to come over there. Preferably, like in the middle of the day as opposed to 1 in the morning, but we will do it. And we're glad that people call us to do that, because we would rather go change the batteries in the smoke detectors than have to respond there for a structure fire and hope you're not in there.
Well, and also have a few more elderly residents as well. Trying to change the smoke alarms themselves can be very dangerous. Really dangerous for anybody. Anybody can fall off a ladder or hurt themselves while doing such a simple task. But I want to talk to you about in my hometown, in my folks' house, they have a fireplace that lights with a light switch. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's considered a propane fireplace, or if maybe that's just a normal one, but that also too comes with some risks. Any advice for people with those types of heating elements? Yeah,
I think anytime that you're dealing with some sort of an ignition source and then that spark, I think you're better off having another company come in, maybe inspect it once a year, something like that. I mean, if you're not smelling anything, because they always install that mercaptan into the gas, so if you do have a leak, you can typically smell it in your house. But when you do have an ignition source like that spark or something, just something maybe be savvy with, and when you go to try it the first time, maybe it's not 9 o'clock at night. Maybe it's in the middle of the day where you kind of got your wits about you. You can see something bad's happening. So that's the only thing I'd probably recommend in that arena.
What would you say? How many chimney fires do the crews kind of respond to? Do you see an influx in calls when we get closer to the winter time? Where's the department with their responses to chimney fires around this time of the year? Yeah, so typically, especially in northern Arizona, when you have the areas that get a little chillier come October, November, and that's your primary heating source, we always see an uptick in really just chimney fires. But the other thing too is when you have the wood burning stoves, we can also get an influx in attic fires as well. Sometimes you have those breaks in the chimney that you can't see, where it's going to allow smoke into the attic, which then where smoke goes, fire goes. So we do get an uptick in those usually the early time of year, and that's usually the ones where the chimney needed to be cleaned out, could have been completely avoided. Sometimes it's just dilapidation of the construction because it's older construction, or sometimes things are made to break. So that's why it's so important if you can get somebody to go and clean that out. At least you remedy that. But yeah, we do, and I know nationwide we run on about 25,000 chimney fires every year. Yeah. So, well, I know obviously more areas utilize their chimneys and wood stoves and furnaces a little bit more than here in the Verde Valley or in just Yavapai County in general. Of course, probably seeing a little bit more utilized up in the Flagstaff area where it snows and gets extremely cold. But still very, very important to get your heating elements checked out, especially your chimneys, your furnaces, your wood burning stoves. Just like Eric Merrill said, don't clean your own chimney yourself. Look for those warning signs early on before we even get to the winter months. In fact, now would probably be a great time to start contacting anybody or contacting a company to come out and take a look at those heating elements for you, and also contact your local fire department wherever you may be if you're watching and listening to get more information about if you need to get your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors checked out, because that is even worse than a fire is to die in your sleep because of smoke and a carbon monoxide detector. But we're going to keep talking more winter heating safety here on Countywide. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
The mouth is the gateway to the digestive system. Studies indicate a correlation between oral health and full body health. Regular cleanings and checkups can help protect you. New patients are welcome at Arizona Smile Designers in Cottonwood. There's a full smile worth of services all offered under one roof. Whitening and cosmetic to implants and smile reconstruction. Find out more or request an appointment online at azsmiledesigners.com.
Terrifying job. Snake handler, take one.
James, this is a really terrifying job.
Given the hazards, why do you do it?
I've been fascinated by reptiles since I was a child.
Tell me about your little friend there.
So this is Bear Hug. He's a Burmese python. We have him here at the Phoenix Zoo.
It kind of makes my skin crawl. Is there anything that rattles you?
Yeah, distracted drivers terrify me.
I want to welcome you back here to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking winter heating safety, and my guest in studio today is Central Arizona Fire Captain Eric Merrill. In the first segment, we talked about furnaces, we talked about chimneys, we talked about smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors. Very, very important now to start getting those inspected, get those checked out. Of course, if you do need your smoke alarm changed, the battery changed, and it sits on you have a high ceiling or it sits in a precarious area, do not be afraid to contact your local fire department. They will go out there with no issue and change that out for you. And if you do live in the Dewey, Humboldt, or Prescott area and you want to contact Central Arizona Fire, their website is cazfire.org, CAZFIRE.org, and their phone number is 928-772-7711. Eric, we talked a little bit about wood stoves. I want to get more specific about them, more specifically disposing of hot ash. A lot of fires started in trash cans that are right next to the house, and you throw the hot ash in there. But I wanted you to reiterate real quickly, just important how it is to get those wood stoves checked out, and then if we can move into how to properly dispose of those ashes and some do's and don'ts with those wood stoves.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is the ashes, they're still going to be hot. Even though they may not be glowing orange anymore, they're still producing a lot of heat. So I think the worst thing you could do is just go immediately throw it in the trash can, because then you're heating up the trash can. Most of them are plastic, so it melts them, it off-gasses this nasty smoke, turns into fires, and we get that quite a bit, trash can fires or dumpster fires, things like that, but those are all right next to the house or another part of the structure, so then it extends into the structure very rapidly. So the best thing is to submerge, put them in a bunch of water before you go dispose it in the trash can. Make sure everything's good and wet and moist, and then feel free to do what you need to do. The other thing too is that we're always in a wildland urban interface, even in the middle of winter. So those embers, those ashes sometimes can still carry over to some of the dry grass because it's slowly starting to dry out. So something to be considered up too. Where should those hot ashes be stored while they're cooling? Just in water. If you have a pan, a tray, something that you can put them in water until they cool off. Metal container? Yeah, metal containers, absolutely. Yeah, definitely not plastic or wood or anything like that. Nothing combustible is what I'm getting at, yeah. Okay, cool. Overloading wood stove, dangerous, correct? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely dangerous. So, yeah, just follow the instructions that come with the manual. It's very basic, and if it doesn't come with one, then, it's same thing we've been talking about, have a professional come out and inspect it, and they can give you the good, savvy advice. Is there any kind of wood that you shouldn't be putting into a wood stove? Just out of curiosity. So definitely you want it to be very dry, and just whatever drier woods that you can find. I guess I wouldn't have any moist woods, but yeah, I don't have any. Maybe you have a better suggestion than I do. I don't know if I do. That's what I'm asking, because I have, like I said, I have a furnace at the house, but I was just curious. Maybe there's just like a type of wood that you shouldn't utilize. But I don't know. Just throwing out some questions there, Eric. I think you could find some healthy wood chips that are maybe flavored. Throw it in there, and then maybe throw a rotisserie. Get a nice hickory smell going through your house. Of course. Yeah. Heating elements, space heaters. A lot of people have space heaters, especially those who don't have a furnace or a chimney or a wood stove or whatever it may be. But
some do's and don'ts with space heaters. Can we go through that a little bit?
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away from there.
Yeah, let's please do, because that's always seems to be a cause of a lot of fires, especially this time of year. And we totally understand that, not everybody can afford all the different types of ways to heat your home, and sometimes space heaters are the only option. The biggest issue is that it just draws so much power sometimes that you can overrun your electrical system. So one, you can start electrical fires. Two, sometimes those are plugged into anything but a surge protector. So you have that issue, but at the same time, sometimes people have the space heaters that are too close to other combustibles, like we were talking about the ashes. Like,
right.
Just don't put them near anything combustible. So try to keep a good few feet of space around it. Definitely don't fall asleep with the space heater on. So we've also seen a couple different kinds. You have your electrical that you plug into, the wall or a surge protector, or you have your propane ones that it's basically a propane bottle with a space heater that's screwed onto the top. And so we actually had a structure fire a couple years ago in Dewey where we had somebody that had a propane barrel or a propane tank that had the space heater on the top. Somehow it knocked over, and then it actually
in their house.
Beg pardon? Yeah.
People really?
Yeah.
I thought this was just for outdoor use.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Oh,
they're
okay.
supposed to be, but this one happened to be indoor, and God bless this person. They were just trying to stay warm, and I don't know if they'd fallen asleep with it still on, but somehow it had knocked over and it burnt. You could actually see the burn pattern brilliantly into the wood flooring, caught the floor and underneath the subfloor all on fire. Thank goodness though, this gentleman was able to be evacuated from the structure, and very minimal damage to the home itself, but could have been a very bad deal very quickly. So just be very cautious of how you're heating your home, not falling asleep. Same thing with your chimneys. Don't fall asleep with your chimney still going, because you still run that risk of that carbon monoxide as well.
Of course. Let's roll off that a little bit more of other things that you should not use to heat your home. You mentioned those sort of portable propane heaters, the space heaters like you mentioned. Ovens. Should not also do that as well. Any other items? I'll let you take it. Any other items that we should not be heating our houses with inside?
Yeah, I know that we always see an influx in candles.
Okay.
And candles aren't necessarily heating sources.
Unless you're warming up a family of mice, I guess.
Yeah. But even the mice find a way to get out, right? So, ovens. We see that sometimes people turn their ovens on. They just open the door, try to heat it up. Will it work? Yeah. Is it the best idea? Absolutely not. So again, anytime that you're dealing with like gas that's going to be your heating source, you're running that risk of putting that into your house. You're breathing it in. You're running the risk of carbon monoxide. But yeah, there's more efficient ways. And if anybody has any other questions on that stuff, please call the fire department and ask before we start getting creative.
Yeah, well, and also too. Barbecues. Don't bring in a barbecue into your house as well. What else? Are there any others that are kind of like, just ridiculous to bring into the home and try to heat up your house? Yeah,
definitely don't start a campfire in your house, I guess. We see that sometimes. I don't know that they'll be watching, but sometimes there's transients that go find dilapidated or abandoned buildings, and they start fires inside using whatever they can to heat themselves. So. If any transients are out there watching, then, please don't do that. But there's other methods to heat yourselves. And, we start talking extra clothing, extra blankets and things like that. But all those sources, if they're near some sort of open flame, that's going to catch, and it's going to catch on top of you. And
well, it's also very important to not utilize a space heater while you've got blankets on top of it as well. And again, just taking precautions, making sure that nothing is around the space heater that could catch on fire. Like Eric said, don't plug it into an extension cord, just plug it directly into the wall. Again, if you're utilizing hot ash, put it into a metal container full of water, let it sit outside for a few days before you dispose of that into a trash can. And again, don't dispose of hot ash into a metal trash can that's got trash in it, because it will catch on fire. Keep it as an empty metal container with just water in it. But we're going to talk a little bit more with Eric Merrill and some more winter heating safety on the side of this break. Stay with us. Countywide, we'll be right back.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Your carpet is the largest air filter in your home, trapping dust, dirt, and germs from the air that your family members breathe, even the furriest ones.
That's why it's important to keep your carpet and tile clean and hygienic with regular cleanings by Zero-Res. Zero-Res uses state-of-the-art technology and ZR water, not soap or harsh chemicals, so zero residue is left on your home surfaces.
Schedule your appointment today because a clean home is a healthy home. Visit ZeroResNorthernArizona.com.
The mouth is the gateway to the digestive system. Studies indicate a correlation between oral health and full body health. Regular cleanings and checkups can help protect you. New patients are welcome at Arizona Smile Designers in Cottonwood. There's a full smile worth of services all offered under one roof. Whitening and cosmetic to implants and smile reconstruction. Find out more or request an appointment online at azsmiledesigners.com.
I want to welcome you back here to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking winter heating safety. My guest in studio today is Central Arizona Fire Captain Eric Merrill. In the first segment, we talked about the importance of getting your chimneys, your furnaces, your fireplaces, your wood stoves, your space heaters, whatever you may have to heat your house that makes sense to heat your house. Get those checked and inspected, and also smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors. Again, if you have high ceilings or your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are in precarious situations or areas, don't be afraid to contact your local fire department and get them out there to switch them out for you safely. You don't want people falling off ladders or hanging off the side of their, what do they call those? Was that second story? I don't know what it's called. We'd be sitting here all day, me trying to guess that. But Eric, another thing people like to do in the winter is hike because it's not 150 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. So can we just talk briefly? We got a couple minutes of just some do's and don'ts with winter hiking safety.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first and foremost is just because it's cooler out doesn't mean that you're needing to drink any less water. I think we're always constantly dehydrated in Arizona. I think it's just this implied value. When you move to the southwest, you just instantly become dehydrated. So in the wintertime, especially if you're hiking, make sure you're hydrated before you go hiking. Bring some extra water with you. Another thing I'll mention too, all 12 months of the year, is always have a charged cell phone. Try to stay in some sort of a range or a trail that is well known, that's easily accessible for rescue crews or for you to be able to get your way out of. Yeah. So yeah, if you needed to call 911 for something like that, but it still gets icy, still gets a little moist, but definitely dress in layers, so that way as you're hiking, you can start removing some of the warmer clothes as you start getting a little more hot and sweaty, but you also want to be able to put those clothes back on as you start to descend or it starts to get later in the day. So now you're all hot and sweaty, but then it gets cold, now you're running potential for hypothermia.
Yeah. So. I was always told the rule of you can add layers, you can't, or you can take off layers, you can't add layers. Yeah. You know, or something to that extent, where it's very much like you said, if you're hiking out in just a t-shirt and shorts when it's getting cooler and it starts to get colder, because some people do make, they do night hikes, it's definitely important to have a couple jackets with you, and of course, extra water supplies. Have a fully charged cell phone. The usual stuff for the summertime can be applied to the winter as well. It's just we take away some of the temperature aspects of it, but it's very important to always have enough supplies with you and let somebody know where you're going and when you'll be back, and have a fully charged cell phone. Again, just some more reiterating here. Wood stoves, ashes, hot ash. Do not take hot ash from your wood stove and throw it into your trash can. Is a great way to start a fire. It doesn't matter if your trash can is made out of metal. If there is stuff that can catch fire, it will catch fire. So please take those hot ashes, put them into a solo metal container full of water. That's all that's in there. Pour those ashes in there. Give it a few days to chill out. Don't put it near your house. Keep it away from the house. Keep it away from things that can catch fire. And hopefully, Eric, we will have a much more calm and relaxed winter here. And I appreciate you, sir, for coming on. It's great to meet you. We've talked a few times just in terms of our regular day-to-day jobs, but it's nice to have you come down and give us some facts on here. And I appreciate what you do. And thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, and God bless everybody, and I'll come back anytime you have me.
Well, I appreciate it, Eric. That is going to do it for this episode of Countywide. Again, don't be afraid to contact your local fire department for any help or assistance you may need. Central Arizona Fire number is 928-772-7711. And with that, I wish you a very great winter, and we'll talk to you again next time.